Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the third edition of the Elets Healthcare Transformation Summit on the theme, Technology Driving Futuristic Healthcare. Joining us now with his industry presentation, we have Ravi Sundararajan, COO Gupshup. As the Chief Operating Officer, Ravi heads sales, marketing, business development, product operations, customer success, technical solutions, and support functions at Gupshup. Ravi jump-started Gupshup's cloud communication platform business in 2011, which has grown to become the leading conversational engagement platform. His previous roles include General Manager at Akamai, VP at HP and McKinsey. He has been awarded US patents for innovative cloud data management inventions and has an MS in electrical engineering and an MBA from Harvard University. Over to you, Ravi, for your presentation.
Thanks, Garima. Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great conference. The goal today, as Garima mentioned, is to talk about conversational healthcare and how it's it's changing the way the industry is being able to engage with customers on a much more personalized, interactive basis where there's availability all the time, right? So the main thing that I think a lot of people want to know is what's changed. And it's not only in healthcare, various other industries have changed with the onset of the pandemic, and which has affected the healthcare industry the most, where people have started operating things remotely. They expect things once you are remote, you have to use digital technologies, and a lot of it is it gives them access and a lot of personalization and interactivity, and it's always on 24/7. But what's happened in the healthcare industry is that there are a lot of things. Initially, there were certain things that are being managed in the back end, being electronic records and a lot of the tablet applications, and also actually a lot of the online support. But with the pandemic, the consultations, a lot of the remote patient monitoring, voice-enabled technologies, using chatbots to engage people remotely, and all these therapeutics which are more digital, people doing non-invasive surgeries and so on and so forth. All those things, even non-invasive brain surgeries are being done, right? So all of these things have moved on to kind of, the technology itself has forced technology, and the current pandemic has caused things to go digital much more faster. And also the other thing is that bandwidth has become much more cheaper, right? Even in India, for example, 4G with the geo rollout, it's kind of one of the cheapest bandwidth rates anywhere in the world. So this has caused people to be able to kind of interact with their providers, healthcare providers, be it doctors or even the other people down in the supply chain, to interact with them in a much more personalized way and also much more interactive way. And the expectations have gone up. But as these expectations and demand for personalized healthcare, interactive healthcare with a lot of digital technologies is going up, the digital experience is still broken. They're not there, because what's happening is the apps, for example, there was a phases, right? There was a website where it came and changed the way we do things. Internet kind of took internet to democratized internet access. And then there was all these bunch of apps that came in the last 10, 15 years. And there are super apps like Uber and a whole bunch of other apps that do transportation, deliver food to you, they do e-commerce and a whole bunch of other things, right? But there's only so many apps that you can have. You can't have 10 banking apps, 10 transportation apps, 10 entertainment apps. So, and then there's an app fatigue. There's only limited screen space. There are companies there are people in tier 2 and tier 3 cities in India where they actually, the only app they have is WhatsApp, because even if they have, I will give you an example of some of our customers where they actually download the customer's app, get the required information, promotions or whatever, and then uninstall the app, and then they communicate them through WhatsApp, right? So what's happening is that it's not scalable to kind of go, there's only a few super apps, but these super apps will not solve all your needs. Even if you have multiple healthcare providers, you can't have so many healthcare apps, right? And also the web experiences are a little bit older school, and so it's broken. And also the patients and doctors' digital savviness to deal with desktops and tablets and all that stuff. There's limitations to what's happening. So what's given this, the natural way for people to do is to go where the consumers are. So today, not only the younger generation, obviously younger generation is on Snapchat, Instagram, But even the other people, right? You talk to all your friends. What do you do? Is we all agree that in India, especially on emerging markets, it's true for most emerging markets, and true especially for India, we skipped the kind of desktop generation or laptop thing and went directly. Very few people were using desktops. We skipped that and went directly to mobile, right? Over about 900 plus million people are using, close to a billion people are using mobile phones, of which the smartphones itself are close to about 550, 600 million smartphones, right? So there's a lot of people with ability to, access digital technologies through their phones, be it smartphones or even non-smartphones, where you have minimal capabilities to do all these things, and things like a few messaging apps. So what that does is that you have to go where your consumers are, and while you're using your mobile, the number one use on a mobile is messaging, be it text messaging, be it WhatsApp, be it Instagram, even you access your Facebook and LinkedIn and all the other things. That there are a few super apps, right? Uber and Uber Eats and some of the few things that you do is through the mobile. So the engagement is on the mobile through the messaging apps and through messaging. That is the number one area where your customers are always engaged and always there. So for any business to not have a strategy to go where the consumers are, and it kind of improves even the healthcare experience, right? Why are they moving towards messaging apps? Because even like, the biggest use case when India in 2019 and 2018, we have offices all over the world. We're headquartered here in the US, but our biggest engagement is in India. And after that is Latin America. And Latin America in 2018 and 19, the whole use case was very different, which is bulk of it was messaging back and forth on mobile, doing lots of bots and lots of conversational AI and lots of messaging. It's lots of conversations on your through the mobile. It was, they were having conversational commerce, conversational marketing, conversational support, conversational healthcare, conversational banking. A lot of things were happening over conversations digitally through mobile engagement, and businesses were already shifted there. But what happened in India is they were still resistant because a lot of thing was happening. Basic stuff, notifications were happening, some post-purchase journeys, but not pre-purchase and purchase journeys. And the overall end-to-end things like healthcare was not happening there. And the pandemic completely changed it. The bots and the conversational stuff that we did on WhatsApp, there were millions of messages for various state governments that we did. We did it for a few state governments. We did it for Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, a whole bunch of things. We a lot of the vaccine news, what all the alerts would go out, and everything completely changed, where overnight the usage for conversational based use cases went up by 100, 200%. We ourselves have been going at 100% for the last 2 years. Several unicorns were created, and then the lot of the people started spending millions and billions of dollars on these digital technologies because works went remote. People had to have a lot of remote work environments that they had to tool for. They had to engage the consumers remotely. They had to deliver everything remotely. The supply chain went remote, support went remote, everything went remote. And so whole digital thing just got a big spurt. And so the experience started moving. The interface to all these things was through the messaging apps and messaging and conversations, because that's where people are always there doing a whole bunch of other things. And that kind of completely changed the way we look at, how conversational and messaging, messaging apps can, through these mediums, how can you deliver a much more effective and convenient healthcare experience that is not only going where the customers are, but it is personalized, interactive, and always on. Because it doesn't matter, it's 10 p.m., you can always figure out what's your status, what is the results of your tests, what are I need to do, can I access online, can I go to pharmacy and order some drugs which are prescribed by the doctor. All these stuff started moving online, including delivery and prescription of drugs, virtual visits, testing that can be done, people coming and doing, you can order test, people come take the thing, and then you can do, you don't have to go to the hospital. So this completely changed because healthcare started going to where the patients are, and you conversing them. And also India is a country where you have multiple languages, multiple levels of education. It's just not like, 150, 200 million people in the top 4 cities speaking English or have different levels of literacy. It is close to 1 billion people, and 600 million people are not in these tier 1 cities. They are the real Bharat who have access and they need to. So these are the people that, got to participate and see the effect of democratization of some of these technologies. And then you also got them to talk to you to do personalized care, right? So what is this aspect of um, personalized care, or what does conversational healthcare actually do, right? So a good example is, before, you think about it, you go to a doctor's not going to say, hey, I have 10 medicines, why don't you go take it? They're going to ask you a few questions, right? They'll ask you, hey, what are these symptoms? Where are you? What did you do? Get some history and all that stuff. All those are conversations. And if a digital, if the healthcare experience and a lot of the consultations and all of them have to move to a digital experience, then you need to have conversations. Without conversations, you can't find out about what are the issues, what are the ailments. You can't do a diagnosis. And there's also a lot of these use cases that started coming in, where your people would use combination of rich media and a whole bunch of other notifications to be able to do it. So in this case, what you would do is you would do kind of engage them. You can engage thousands of patients in a personalized way. So what this does is, you may be a hospital, like an Apollo hospital that's using us too as a case study, right? So they may be having hundreds of thousands of patients. But in spite of having thousands of patients, you can attend to them in a personalized way, just like they would when they come to your office and you're one-on-one with them. So it's one-on-one with everyone. You're sitting there and you're talking to them and engaging them, and where you're asking them, hey, what are the systems, and also do follow-ups. Once you do the virtual initial visit and they get their medication, before it used to be a big thing, they have to schedule a follow-up, you look at your appointment, there's so many issues. But here you can even do some of these offline by saying, hey, please update what are your symptoms, if there are any, please update your some of your vitals, are you monitoring yourself, and you give them tips, constant tips, right? What this does is you can nudge them to certain behavior, be it if they have to do certain things, a walk every day, or they have to do certain things, exercise in a certain way, or do physiotherapy in a certain way. You can give them videos, you can give them tips with rich media. It became possible. You can send the messaging with rich media and conversationals, and also customizing it with AI and rule engines. You can supplement the patient care with messages and connection that they have before they did. Before it would be like, okay, I talk to them, come back 3 weeks later, 1 month later, 3 months later. But now, constantly, you can have a support staff. Healthcare organizations can have support staff that do this and create one-on-one care and stay connected with their patients 24/7 to answer their queries and give any emergency support if needed. So this kind of completely changed the entire treatment life cycle and made it more engaging, personalized, interactive, and always on. So what you do is, initially, for example, even if you go through the whole things of marketing or operations and services, post-care services. So here what happens is, initially, even when you talk about how do I discover which doctor I need to go to if there's a certain thing, right? Now you have more access. Before you would just say, hey, nearest place I go. But now you're not limited by, if I'm living in a certain location and I have just access to a certain clinic and that's where I go. It's not that anymore. I have access to, if I'm doing virtual care and if I'm doing some virtual visits, then I can pick and choose the type of doctor who would be able to serve the interest better and get some personalized care. And then you can also do the appointment booking on mobile itself. Quickly do it. It's easier for them, easier for you. It ties into there. We have tying into various CRM systems and this thing. So appointment booking is a common use case that we do in the pre-purchase or discovery phase, where you actually are figuring out what type of service you want, who do you want to go to, and when do I want this, and do it more conveniently, because it's easier for them to, they save a time of you're waiting to, they're flooded with calls, you don't have to wait, you can do it offline, they can do it in offline way and get their booking. And then once you do that, then you can also do some of the earlier things like, processing, getting your insurance and all the other information upfront, giving it to them, not going there and waiting for paperwork to be done physically. All that stuff is uploaded digitally. They know what insurance plan you're in, what type of payments you have to do, and everything can be taken care of. And then you do the engagement with the doctor, which again is much more personalized, much more interactive, and even the results that you have will be there, and you can monitor these results, and you know what you have to monitor and what type of things you have to do, and ordering the medicines and following up with all the stuff. An assistant becomes much more easier. And then also the follow-up care, be it the diet or the nutrition or the vitals that have to be monitored and reported back consistently, all that becomes much more easy and personalized. So with conversational healthcare, it's completely changed, and the life cycle can be made much more engaging. And that is kind of the beauty of having very personalized care using digital technology, using conversational healthcare, where you could actually do it for every digital workflow. It's just not, we're just giving an example, but in this case, we're calling it, it's the patient engagement before discovery, doctor discovery, and making sure that certain people who want to come, you get the right thing, and also discover the right products and the engagement, and they do the support. So here, it's like having a personal assistant for each patient. And here, once you start doing this consistently, you also get the previous visits, previous records, all the stuff is there. So even using a little bit of intelligence and rule engine, you can say, hey, the first level of stuff I can take care, where you can look at where the history and everything becomes much more easier. They have access to it, you have access to it, and you can actually follow up and make sure, do a better patient management for making sure they follow the best practices, and are taking their medication, and constantly monitoring the vitals, and giving personalized answers and recommendations to patient queries. Sometimes they may have simple follow-up questions, and they don't have to go to always wait for meeting a doctor. Some of these could be answered by the support staff, and they to give personalized care. So these are some of the use cases where we have. I think this is kind of an online pharmacy with PharmEasy. We also have some customers too. In this case, I think some of these examples we've masked some of these names because we just kind of wanted to do that. But I think I'll give you examples of some customers using this: PharmEasy, Apollo Hospitals, and a whole bunch of other healthcare providers that are using this. And in this case, here, they're kind of in this use case, they say, "Ki, you have what is your vital signs, whatever you want to do, and then you have what is the payment plan and insurance information, and then you want to talk to a doctor, what type of medications you're taking, and all that stuff. And then once the patient engagement is done, even the prescription for a PharmEasy or all these stuff can become online, and then you take that and actually you have a patient satisfaction survey, and then kind of they follow up, right? So in a nutshell, what's happened in the last year or two is, given these three big factors, right? The access to bandwidth and usage, and ability to kind of engage any business online is improved. Combination of cheaper bandwidth, apps getting better. Even WhatsApp, right? They have 2 billion users around the world, 500 million people in India. And of the 500 million people, of the 2 billion people, there are a couple of hundred people talking to a business on WhatsApp. Same thing, we have the solutions on Instagram, we have Google Business Messages, we have RCS. In some other countries, they use Line and WeChat, and so on and so forth, right? And some people even use Facebook Messenger in the US and all that stuff. So there's been access to all these things, and some of these business engagement, these apps have opened up through list messages, buttons. So I can have a buttons for an appointment scheduling in WhatsApp. I can create a bunch of options. Hey, what are your symptoms? What is your vitals? You give list messages. Even for uneducated people, they can see images, and they'll click on the image for the type of thing they want to answer. So the answering becomes much more easier. You have videos, instructional videos, and what they need to do, how they need to take care of themselves for post visits, even if it's a post-operational visit, or any visit post interaction, doctor interaction. All these things become much more easier, even depending on, even in spite of the levels of education. Even sometimes when they're talking to a doctor, it is tougher because they may not understand the language or written thing, but now it's all graphical. It's there in videos, in their medium. Sometimes it's voice notes. That makes it much more easier for them to access all the stuff. And then they even go on to follow-up care and everything else. The second thing is, obviously, the pandemic has caused everything to remote. Sometimes you may get infected going into a hospital. That's happened even in US. About 2/3 of the thing when the Omicron thing was going on, a lot of them got the infection in the hospital. Number of people who had COVID, 2/3 of them got it in the hospital. 1/3 of them had before and they came. So all these things can be avoided by doing things remote. And then you also, the pandemic changed things and so caused people to do things remote. And the third thing is the innovations. There's things like mobile wallet and a lot of the AI stuff that happened, a lot of the integrations with various technologies. We can clearly integrate into a healthcare appointment scheduling system, healthcare patient management system. People have their own healthcare video system for remote suite. We can interface with any of these things using common APIs. And so we can plug into any of the systems that are there and create a whole conversational experiences. So this innovation in technology, access to bandwidth, and the pandemic kind of changed the way, and then that continued. And then people got better results, better ROI, and even the businesses saw it's better. So now, and they realize that everybody's on messaging apps, and hence the advent of conversational commerce, conversational healthcare, conversational marketing, conversational support. So a lot of things went conversational, and the need to kind of engage where your consumers are. So the question is, be it you're a healthcare provider, a hospital, a doctor, a dentist, or any other type of healthcare provider, or a pharmacy, or people who are doing post-patient care, and wanting to give personalized care. Any of you in the healthcare industry, it is imperative that you have a strategy, conversational engagement strategy, to meet where your customers and consumers are. That is where they are, on the mobile, on messaging apps, and waiting to be taken care of with personalized healthcare that is interactive, always on, and personalized, right? So I think that's where the future is headed for healthcare, and that's kind of our take at this. And I think irrespective of who you use, this is a trend that we cannot ignore, and it's here to stay. And this is going to be the biggest trend that we will see, because I think mobile SaaS is a big thing, and in mobile SaaS, conversational engagement and conversational messaging and communication platform as a service is going to be huge. So I hope you have a great conference. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ravi, for your deep and pertinent insights. And technology is truly transforming healthcare, as you clearly elaborated. So please accept a small token from our end for your presence at the third Elets Healthcare Transformation Summit through this certificate that we have. Thank you once again for your time, your presence, and your wonderful insights on the future, the present, and the future of conversational AI. Thank you so much, Ravi Sundararajan.
Thanks, Karima. Thanks.
Thank you. Pleasure.